live and uncut.
Yeah, man. So, wow. I mean, listeners, you can't see this, but Tom's already blushing.
What?
Tom, yeah, your cheeks are red, bro. Like, what's going on?
From what?
Look at that. Not even recognizable. Just
Yeah. Yeah, man.
All right.
You good? Do you need to go to the bathroom before we start?
I'm doing great. I got my pineapple juice here. I'm doing fine.
We're all cozy.
I think I know what's up, Uncle.
What's
I
up?
think he knows what we're talking about today.
Oh, he knows. Do you want to tell us? Because nobody told me yet.
I think we're talking about dating.
Oh! Let's do that now, man.
Why?
Cue the theme song.
No, but why? my only comment is, why are 3 single guys talking about dating and giving dating advice?
Right.
That's a good title. Well, we should use that as our title.
I mean, we're 3 single guys,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna do our best to convey, the wisdom that we've earned by walking this earth.
From years of mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, the true masters have failed, thousands of times.
Yeah.
Who are the true masters? Who are the love gurus?
Probably not us. They are asking us a question, I'm sure, that we all want to ask ourselves, which is, why are we single?
Who wants to take that on? Who wants to take that bullet first?
Why are you on it? Why are you single?
Why are you single, Tom?
Why is it people?
You're a handsome young man. You're like a early professional.
Tell us.
I would date you.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
He's blushing again.
Just perma blush.
Why am I single? I think like a lot of people just, timing hasn't worked out, focusing on other things, happenstance, as some people will call it. And also like, certain choices, I don't feel the need to rush into anything that I'm not sure of right now. So kind of take my time with it a bit.
There's a mature answer. Shows how mature and thoughtful you are, ladies.
All right, this is not a pitch Tom episode.
Yeah, but it is. Yeah. I think that maturity is on a downward slope, right? And I'm gonna go next. I'm just gonna
Oh fuck! All right, well thanks. Go
ahead. Yeah, no, I think I probably have a very similar answer. You focus on other things, or timing doesn't work out, or it doesn't work out with a person, and you end up single. And I think we're still young enough where it's not like weird that we're single, or you know what? I don't think it's ever weird when someone's single, but I think it's very, very like typical for people in our age group. So I don't know. It's.
I think that's an important point, right? Like I think there's maybe not as much now, but there's always been a societal pressure to like always be dating or like always be doing, like always like been working on that part of your life. But it's okay to like working on something else, right? And let that come when it comes, like when the time's right. So
100%.
It's all right to be single. It's actually pretty sweet sometimes. So.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think for me, just to answer your question, it's largely because for the last like 2 years, I've been very focused on getting my career to where I want to be. Practically speaking, I graduated from university and I just wanted to get out of contract work and get a full-time job so I can kind of take a breath of relief and be like, okay, I have some financial security. I have some job that I'm happy in and that I like. And right now I do, and I'm really thankful for that. And now that I have that in my life, I've kind of shifted my focus towards dating, towards relationships, towards the things that I didn't really feel I had time for before. And also, I think all of us can say this with, a good degree of confidence. COVID has definitely impacted all of our dating lives.
Yeah, COVID has changed the game.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Tony, how have you adapted in the COVID world of dating?
I don't know. I feel like you adapt to survive. I don't know that I have.
I don't think we have good answers here. I think it's like we don't.
Hey, Tom, I've been social distancing.
Have you not been?
Sorry.
Yes, I have been social distancing, please. But like again, I think some people. It's funny though because a lot of the Okay, a lot of the dating apps have allowed you like
Yeah.
this feature to call your match and things like of that. Have any of you used that at all?
Not on the apps. I hate the apps, but I do call. Like I call.
Okay, don't pretend
partners.
like you don't have you're not on the app.
Okay, look, I
Like,
am
this-
on the apps. Okay, let me be clear. Like I'm on the apps, but I dislike.
How many?
Ladies.
How many are
Ladies,
you on?
ladies, he's on the apps.
Okay, how many are you on?
Tinder and Hinge right now.
Okay, this is not an advertisement for either of them, but still.
Unless you want to pay us, in which case, go to those apps.
But okay. Well, actually, okay, I'm gonna dive deeper into
Hit
this
me with it.
because you've used more than those two, right? You've used even more niche dating apps.
I've used like Bumble. I've used Dillmill. I think that's it.
Was there a significant difference in your approach to either of the apps, or did you feel like? Could you just tell us what were the key differences in those?
I think it's the audiences, right? Like I think on Hinge you get people, which is why I actually like Hinge more for where I am in my stage of life now. You get people who are more like wanting a serious relationship, who want an invested partner. And I think in Bumble, the fact that you let women go first is great in the sense that it allows them to take control. But I've talked to some women who are like, I don't really want to do that. It's too much work, right? Which is fair in that way as well. I think with Tinder, it's just kind of a free for all. That's the way I would describe it. I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Like it's just like there's so many like people on there, which is that. But it's a free for all. And then with Dilma, which I was on briefly.
Can you explain what Dealmakers is in case people haven't heard that one?
Okay, it was like a South Asian dating app. I was on there briefly. I didn't stay for very long, and you get to match with other South Asians. And I used it for a bit. Didn't use it for very long.
Cool.
So, very boring answer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. And I think and the other thing, I think Bumble is also doing fine. They just IPO'd. So
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
I think they're doing just fine.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm curious for you guys because I think we were talking about this before. There's always been, and I think it's less now for sure, but I think it's still quite prevalent, a stigma around meeting your significant other on a dating app. And let me finish. Like again, I think it's getting better, right? But I know some people who have met their significant other on a dating app, and when they like meet their families or something, they come up with a story of how they actually met. So they lie. They don't say they met on.
I haven't seen this in real life though. I just heard about it.
Oh, I've seen it. I know people who have done that. They lie about how they met so that they don't tell people they met on the dating app, which I think is like I guess to each their own, right? But I don't know. What do you guys think of that stigma? And do you think it's just gonna go away? Because I think more and more people are meeting that way.
So I agree that the stigma has existed, but I think it's rapidly going away.
Agreed.
I think like if you talk to people, 5 to 10 years ago about dating apps, there was like pretty significant stigma, even among people from demos that were like actively using those dating apps. It was just kind of like, oh, you've met a real person online, right? Like I think there's like there was like that reaction, and I'm willing to bet some people, especially my guess is like older people, parents, grandparents, may still have that reaction. But I think there's been a real shift in the amount of stigma.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it's going to go away. It's like it's maybe it's like an adaptation period or like just getting used to it, right? That people more and more.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think dating apps are here to stay.
Yeah, like it doesn't mean we like them.
them.
But what I'll say is like I think there's a factor here around when we entered university. Like I think that's when I first started encountering the Tinders of the world and these different apps have just come up as we've gotten older. So we were almost like,
would you? I mean, sorry to interrupt, but like, do you think Tinder when we were just starting university was even pitched as a dating app? Like I remember, it was the perception of it was just like a hookup app, and then I think it evolved into like enough people met like partners on Tinder where it evolved like slowly into a dating app.
I think it was both. I think it was like it could have been used for dating.
Yeah, I think it was.
Used
I think
for
it was
hookups.
both, but just given the audience that we were around at that time in university, it was used more.
Yeah, that's fair.
That, right?
Yeah, because of the prevalence of hookup culture.
Yeah. when how do I phrase this? When you guys find or match with somebody on a dating app, what are some of the next steps you take?
You message them. What else? What would you
Thanks for that obvious thing. Okay, so like, how long do you message them, and then at what point do you like meet them in person? Do you have like?
Well, I think this is like so. Like, let's take this back a step. Like, right now we're in COVID-19. We're gonna do what's safe according to public health guidelines, right? Unlike you, Tom.
PSA.
Unlike you, Tom. All right. Anyways, but like,
Okay, can we please let the audience know that I obey the COVID regulations?
we're just teasing Tom. He's a very thoughtful and obedient guy. Ladies. Anyways, what was I gonna say? I think it depends. Like, you probably want to wait a decent amount of time to see maybe if they'll message first, and if not, look at their bio or their profile, find something interesting that you can engage with, and then just go from there. Like, I don't know about you. I think pickup lines are hella corny. I don't really like them.
That's a lie, Onka. Anytime I've texted you, I'm like, "Hey, Onka, I saw this girl that I matched with. What should I tell her?" Every advice you've given me has been a cheesy pickup line.
No, it's not.
Don't
give the people.
But
the
literally, anytime you message
Yeah.
like a friend to ask what your opening line should be on a dating app, you're getting a pickup line.
Because we're gonna roast you.
Because
we
like,
don't wanna give
what
you
are they
like
gonna say? Hey, say, hey, how's it going? Like,
I expect a little more nuance.
Tom, I don't have a bio in front of me.
Hey, did you fall did it hurt when you fell from heaven? Like, come on. Like, I don't.
He didn't feed you that one. That's too
Yeah.
bad.
Okay. The one that you fed me recently. Actually, it wasn't you, Onka. To be fair,
Yeah.
it was Tony.
Was
the other brown guy.
Tony. You told me to say.
This might have been a joke, for the record.
No, you told me to say. What was the ridiculous thing? You told me to say.
You can't even remember.
No, it happened like yesterday.
So wait, this happened.
No, what was it? You told me to tell her like, I didn't know angels were this beautiful, or something ridiculous.
No, that was literally like
an hour
ago. So anyway, corny.
We were kidding though. We don't actually mean you should send that to us.
Sure. Lie now in front of the audience.
I just said you should do that because the profile was kind of sus.
You wanted to figure out if it was a bot. Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I guess you do the messaging. Messaging is always, a dumpster fire. Some people try harder than others. You get a wide range of responses. You're at the date. What do you do? What is Tom's playbook? Tell the people.
Yeah, Tom.
I'm still,
and ladies, spoiler alert.
He's single.
Okay, I'm still in the dating game, so I feel like I have to sanitize this playbook. I can't.
Years of experience went into it.
Oh my gosh.
10 out of 10.
Okay, but the one thing I always tell people though, like in all honesty, I think the first date should be something fairly casual, like a coffee, like meeting for coffee. And the reason I say this is because you always kind of want to give yourself multiple exits.
Yeah.
And the first date might not go so well, so it's kind of easier to like leave.
Have you done that before?
Than leave like an expensive dinner.
Have you done that before?
Have I done what?
Have you left a bad coffee date?
I have not. I've been lucky enough to not have to actually apply this theory, but I've always enjoyed it.
Of course, it sounds like you have. Like, I had that experience.
No, but like I've done the opposite. Like I've gone too serious on a date, and it's happened to me. So like my very first date ever, I was like, okay, dates, I have to be romantic. And, for those of our listeners who go to the University of Alberta, there was a cafe there, no longer there. It's called Leva Cafe. During the day, it's nice and peaceful. And I was like, oh, this is like a nice place for a date. And so I took this girl on a date, but, we went at night and it was like 7:00. And what I didn't know was that when you get to the cafe at 7:00 at night, it's candlelit. There's a little piano in the background.
That's a pretty strong first date.
That's pretty funny.
There's like couples who are like holding hands, like professing their love, and it's just me and this girl grabbing crepes. And
did you have the foresight to like make a joke to break the tension?
No, I didn't know. I was just like, oh, this is a date. I have to be datey, right? I just like thought I had to like I was like asking her questions about her life, trying to get to know her, trying to be thoughtful, And then I came back and I was like, oh, that was fun.
But I think there's some people that would like that.
No, but like hear me out. the next day, I texted her and she was like, basically she was just like, I wasn't interested. And then I found out from another friend, like, dude, she thought you were gonna propose. Like, it was the first date, and it was like candle lit, like 6-month anniversary vibes. And so that's kind of how I learned that the hard way, Tom.
Yeah. So I guess again, this is very like personal opinion. Don't have to follow Tom's advice. I usually just know certain places that I'll go on a date in, right? So I can avoid a mishap like that, right? Like I know that I kind of have like a vibe check of different places.
Yeah.
So I kind of
So you say you go on scouting missions. Check these places out beforehand.
I mean, sure, you can call it a scouting mission.
He puts it in an Excel spreadsheet. He times it out minute by minute.
He's an organized man.
Yeah, he has a graph X, Y.
So
axis.
I don't have a spreadsheet, but usually when I go out with friends like these two ridiculous people here, I just kind of have a mental checklist of would this place be a good spot for dates in the future? Like that's what I
nice.
You don't need to go. You don't need to be.
What are your opinion on walks? I actually really like walking dates.
I also really like them, but I think it depends on the person. Some people are more open to that than others, but I do find after a nice dinner or a nice coffee and you go for a walk, it's like you're in a different environment. You kind of see a different side of the person, and
I agree.
It's usually really good.
I like walking dates because like you get to sometimes you get to like explore the neighborhood. Something spontaneous happens. Maybe they'll see something that catches their eye, and then we can have a conversation about that.
So I guess my walks are not spontaneous per se because I usually know where I'm going. Like I'll probably take you to a nice spot in the city that I think has a nice
even
view.
if you're going to that spot in the city, in the middle of this is pre-COVID, obviously, in the middle of like a vibrant walk, something might happen. Right?
Yeah, you can see how she treats people on the street, right? And
which is huge because like kindness is the most underrated value, man. Like you want somebody who's kind.
Yeah, I mean, I think walking dates are like another one of those generic approaches.
So man, are you taking it to Cirque du Soleil?
No.
I'm not saying the generic approach doesn't work.
It sounds like Tony has a completely different, exceptional approach.
No. I'm not critiquing you guys. I'm just suggesting that because modern dating is kind of a numbers game. But you're doing a lot of this stuff.
No, but to be fair, we're talking about like the first date. It's not like
and we're also talking about like multiple parts. Like you could do like, for example, you go to like a museum and then you come out of the museum, grab a cup of coffee and go for a walk in a park. Like those are 3 aspects of a date too, right? It doesn't have to be just a walk or a coffee.
That's true. I think.
Oh yeah, I don't think I was picturing like Tom walking around aimlessly.
Well, that's what he does. He always walks with a purpose. He's a purposeful man.
Yeah, ladies.
Oh my gosh.
No, we'll stop.
He won't.
Okay, so.
But I guess one thing I'm curious of though, when you are on said dates, whether you're going for dinner or coffee or whatever, okay, there's 2 parts to this. Do you psych yourself up before a date?
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Because I know some guys who like tell.
What do you know?
No, some people tell me this advice. They're like, okay, Tom, if you're going on a date, make sure you do like 30 push-ups before you go, so your arms will look bigger. And I think I've never done it. I find it super hilarious.
I've done it. I'm not.
But I'm
not even gonna lie. Why should I lie to these people? They're our listeners. I've done it. You want to look good? I get it.
So you do a quick.
I feel like that's pretty common. Getting like a pump in or whatever.
I listen to some music and jazz myself up and remind myself like, hey man, going to this date is your best self. And I also do the push-ups, so I look good.
No, I mean that's fair. Again, this is a judgment-free zone. I was just curious if you guys do that. But okay, the second.
I don't know if I have like a pre-date ritual. Like
not necessarily a ritual, but I guess I just wondering, like, because you're about to go into like a ambiguous new situation, you just want to give yourself some confidence. I was curious if you did anything.
Okay, here's what I do. I always I'll take like a shower. I'll like have music going in the shower. Have music going in the shower to get myself hyped up, and also probably think about what I want to do on the date. Like, let's say there's specific pieces to the date. So I don't know if we're going to a restaurant or we're going to do these other things, making sure that's all good to go. And maybe just thinking about who I'm on the date with. Like, where did I meet them? What can we talk about? What are some things I want to know about them?
Okay, wait, pause. How much creeping do you do?
I do some creeping. Like, come on. Like, who doesn't do some creeping? Like,
I think it's
naive
to assume difficult not to.
Yeah.
In the 21st century.
I agree.
So it depends. Like, if I met them off the gram, right? And if I slid in the DMs that way, then
This is a real honest shit here.
But then you've already done it.
then I already know. But if it's off a dating app, then yeah, I might go creep their socials real quick just to see like who they are, right? But I'm not gonna like how much could you gain from that? Like you like.
That's fair. I think
But I wouldn't bring it up. I wouldn't be like, so I went on your Instagram and noticed in 2016 you did this. No,
like a Hot Ones interview.
Yeah.
Hey, there's kind of a suspicious gap in your past. Like, can you clarify?
Tell me
I
why
think-
in your employment history you were in 2015 of April.
Yeah.
No, I think it's fair. I think everyone does a certain level of creeping. I think I do mind to the extent of like, is this person like doesn't have like a criminal history, something like a very baseline check, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to learn about it.
Criminal history is pretty hardcore, man.
What kind of girls you dating?
Are you doing like a criminal
What kind of
record
girls you
check?
dating?
Like, is that?
So, clearly, we need to get you to some better.
Oh my god,
listeners, if
I'm
you
not
know
doing
anyone,
a criminal
let us know.
records check. No, basically what I mean is like a quick scan of any like a Facebook or Instagram, and that's about it.
No,
Because
I think
the reason is
just to see if there's like an obvious red flag.
exactly, and the reason is because you do that just like I said, like a base check, I guess I can call it, because you also want to find these things out about them at the date.
Yeah.
You don't want to know everything before you go. That's
And
kind of weird.
my biggest thing is I try not to do too much. Like I'll look, but like I try not to do too much because I don't want to like I want to get to know them first, right? And maybe it's bad to look. Maybe
I don't know.
I look, I scan, I don't analyze. Let's go with that. I scan, I don't analyze. Because I think analyzing can lead to this. I have all these pre-exposed kind of.
I mean, to be
on-
fair, the fact that you've seen it means they made it public, so like it's not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it necessarily like you said it was like maybe bad? I don't think so. I mean, they're putting that out for the world to see.
Yeah,
if you can access.
But Tony, like, what if you're judging that book by its cover?
Well,
you already kind of did on the dating.
They're picking the cover.
Yeah.
like they get to choose the cover.
Maybe
Maybe
they didn't know that those pages were public.
But it's not.
Well, I think they should do some due diligence on their.
Okay.
I don't think that's anything.
It's not just the cover too. It's
Look,
we've gone through the book description. We've gone. You know, like
You've actually read some excerpts.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
interviewed their kindergarten teacher, saw their psychological development.
okay, I don't do that.
I'm kidding.
That's a bit much.
That's a bit much.
Dude, I'm kidding.
Okay.
Relax.
Okay. So the second part of my question.
I'm starting to think I'm the only normal one here. We got a criminal record check. We got an employment history.
Okay. So there were two parts of my original question. One is, do you psych yourself out? Secondly, when you're at the date, like, do you change your frame of mind in any way? I'm not saying like you don't act like yourself, but I'm saying, do you like try and be very funny on the first date, or do you try and just be a very good listener? Like I'm curious.
I think
how the boys.
I
I'm
think
trying to learn.
I used to do that a lot more than I do now. In terms of like, I'm gonna try extra hard to be funny. I'm gonna try extra hard to like impress them.
And for people who don't know, Tony once was actually seriously considering being a stand-up comedian.
I mean, we get it. He's hilarious.
But today I think I'm just confident in myself. Like,
Yeah.
if it works, it works.
He's got big
If it
deal
doesn't,
energy.
all good.
Okay.
It happens.
Yeah. No, that's that. You know what? I love that you have that attitude, man. That's a great attitude to have. I think for me, worries that I've had is like I don't want the date to be like an interview. Like I don't want it to be like, so where did you go to school? So what is this? What is that? I want it to be like a conversation that flows, right? So maybe we'll have like a 20-25 minute conversation about like something that we just can riff on, and then maybe I'll get back to like, okay, so like tell me more about like, are you like a only child? Do you have siblings? What was that like? And then just kind of like spontaneous. Like for me, my favorite dates are we can go in, we can connect on some initial strand of information, and then go and have a spontaneous chat, kind of like this podcast.
Yeah, so I agree. I agree in like not making it an interview, but I am curious if there's a certain question you often ask on a first date.
I mean, there's got to be a couple because you want to know, you know, the like obvious things about the person, like you know, like what do you do for a living, like what are some of your hobbies?
But is there anything deeper? Because some of that you may have already seen.
That's true. That's
their
true.
dating profile, right?
Probably, like I don't know if there's any like honestly, I don't think I have like all jokes aside. I don't think I've had any specific questions. I think it's very much spontaneous. Get into the moment and let's just start talking. Easy questions to ask. what are you doing like for work? Why did you do it? Are you passionate about it? Is this where you see yourself going? People are often in jobs that may not be what they want to do. What do they actually want to do? Why do they want to do that? That tells you a lot about their motivations and their actual life philosophy. So like for example, if you're talking to someone who, maybe like is in med school, wants to be a doctor. But why do you want to be a doctor? Oh, I grew up in a family of doctors and this. Okay. You just get this whole life story just from those sets of questions, right? And so I think it's hard to determine like predetermine specific questions. I think it's easier to just kind of like go with the flow.
But I mean, what about you, Tom? I mean, like, let me ask you your own question. What do you have any like specific?
No, I
Do you have a criminal record?
No,
That's Tom's first
I don't ask that. No, but it's a good point. I think like Onka, I try to make sure it's like we're in the moment, it's a casual conversation where just go with the flow. But I do try to learn a little bit about their background. Just like where did you grow up?
Yeah.
The siblings question I think is good, just so I get a certain sense for why this person might think the way they do. So I don't. It's not a set question, but I do like to discuss a little bit about
You want to know what their lens
how they
is.
grew up. Yeah, exactly. I want to know what their lens is.
Yeah.
So I think that is something I usually try and get in a first date. But if the conversation is not naturally flowing there, I'm not going to force it. But that's one part that I try to see.
I mean, do you have things that come up when you ask those questions that are deal breakers, or is there no like
It's not necessarily a deal breaker. So like for example, I asked that question and the person might say, when I was younger I moved around a lot. Like I lived in different locations, and then that opens up a whole new set of questions around, how was it like living in all these different places? I don't think there's anything they can say per se that'll be a complete deal breaker. I think it's just like Anka said, it gives me an interesting lens to that person and gives me and it opens up more doors for me to explore in that person's life, right? But again, you don't want to approach it in such a way it becomes an interview, right? So
I understand they could say that could be a deal breaker. Like there's
like what
I think it's hard to say what thing they said.
the reason
but
I was
think it's-
moving from town to town is because I was part of a well-known criminal duo.
Bonnie
But you would know that from my criminal record search.
Exactly. I'll never have gotten to that date.
Yeah. No, but like I think it's less like what they said and more like did we vibe, right?
Right.
Like, was it awkward? Was the conversation awkward? Did it feel forced? Did it feel like a two-way conversation? Did it feel one way? Was there some sort of physical chemistry? These are things that you're gonna think about after the date, and I think it's hard to say like what specific answers could they give that are deal breakers.
I definitely agree that like physical chemistry and like a general vibe is important, but I care about what they say too, like specifically. Like I think a lot of dating is like, do we have the same values?
Yeah.
And that stuff doesn't necessarily have to come up on a first date, but it'll come up, I think, eventually. So well, guys, I mean, we've talked about what we do when we're going into a date, but we've obviously all been on dates. What have you learned?
Have we?
But what have you learned? What have you learned?
What have I-
If anyone does get through the
I
criminal
mean, not to
search.
take not to take her to super romantic places on the first date.
That's a good.
That's
That's
a
probably
good
a good
one.
learning.
No candle lit, no candlelight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Initially.
knowing whether or not it's an actual date. And once
What? Okay, I think we need to expand on this.
like I once went,
That's an interesting one.
I once went for a coffee with someone and I thought it was a date and it wasn't. It was just like
That
a friend
sounds like a super 16-year-old experience. You know what I mean? Like,
coffee. Fuck off. No, it's not. It was like
well,
I went to this date. I thought it was a date because I asked her out for coffee and I said,
Okay.
hey, let's I have this coffee shop. I want to take you out. I said I want to take you out, right? And then she took that as like, yeah, let's do this, right? And so I showed up. It looked real nice. She looked nice, and we had like this really great 4 hour chat. And
She was like, nice catching up with you, bro.
but I felt kind of weird because she was giving me like friend vibes, and then I'm like, wait, is this a date? And she was like, nah, I just thought we were hanging out as friends.
have you ever had that happen in reverse?
Ooh.
No, not
That's
yet.
a good one.
I have once.
Or she thought he was a date.
I just thought it was like a coffee, like a friendly coffee, and then she apparently was like told like a friend of hers later who told me like, hey, he didn't make any moves, like he didn't He didn't seem that interested.
Oh,
And I was like, okay.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I think so. I think now I just use the word date. Like, can I take you out on a date? And it's yes. If I get a yes, great. If no, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you move on.
we should. I almost want society to just like establish an obvious like norm for that, like because that's like that's. But that
I mean,
that sounds like
Why do
ineloquent.
why
Like
do we have to establish a norm? You just be direct in your ass.
Yeah, you just direct your ass. That's what it is.
that's true. But
And then
I'll give
you-
you an example. I'll give you an example of like something that could be ambiguous. If I text you like, hey, can I take you out?
That's
Is
why I
that a
said,
date?
can I take you out on a date?
Well, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. But I'm
Just
just
add me
saying.
on a date, man.
That's what I would do, but I'm just saying, like, I think, like, if someone asked to take me out, actually, I don't know if I'd assume it was a date. I don't know.
I think that's a fairly direct statement, depending on guess who is coming from. Too.
Yeah, like
That's true.
Vibe
I think
too.
context really matters.
Yeah, that's an important lesson. In
context matters. Nuance matters. Yeah.
To answer your question, Tony, I think one of the things I've learned, and you mentioned it already, is, and not that I necessarily did this, but I did think of doing it. But I think you shouldn't like rehearse yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like you just have to go in as Tom or as Uncle or as Tony, and if you vibe, you vibe. If you don't vibe, nice seeing you. Hope you have a good life, kind of thing.
Yep.
Like,
Keep it respectful.
yeah,
too.
there's
Yeah.
no
Friends, don't waste your own time.
Yeah, there's no.
Be yourself.
I think one thing I actually like practically speaking, I didn't know what love languages were until after dating experiences, and then when I learned what this concept was, and then reflected on dating experiences, I realized that part of the reasons why relationships worked or didn't work was my love language not being in sync with my partner's love language, and that's something that I'm like thinking about going into future relationships now.
I subscribe to the love language theory, but is it too early in dating to figure that out? I feel like
What do you mean?
I like.
Like, I'm not gonna say like the
I'm not gonna ask someone on the first date what's their love language. I don't think I'm gonna ask that.
no, but like as you start dating that person, I think
Yeah,
should
if
ask
you
that.
yeah, I agree. I think at the beginning of a relationship, it's pretty good to know that.
Yeah.
For sure.
What is your love language?
Mine, acts of service and quality time.
Oh, nice.
That makes sense.
What about you?
Oh, I think like it was words of affirmation and physical touch.
Oh, me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same. We have the same top two. Yeah.
We should date.
I think that's one thing you've learned. What is one thing, when you go into a first date?
Okay.
What's one thing and we're all straight here, right? So what's one thing that the girl can do or the lady can do that makes you like really really start to vibe with this person?
You can make me laugh a lot.
Yeah.
I'll melt like Frosty the Snowman in spring.
I think for me, it's three things. Kindness, like I kindness is an attribute
Yeah, you have a list.
I value deeply. I think it's
He's reading from a book. You can't see this. He
Okay,
took
calm
out
down,
a book.
Calm down.
He's
Um,
reading from the book.
The second, no. The second one is I really dislike gossip. Like I don't want to hear, especially on a first date. Like I don't want you to hear you. Like I get commiserating about like a shitty experience, and I'm down to commiserate with you, but I don't want to hear like I don't want to get too negative talking trash about people. Like that to me, that's just not the kind of person I am. So that's just like a turn off. I think for me. The last thing, like, look, I'll pay. I just want you to say thanks. Like that's it. Like, I just want you to say thanks, or even like do the little reach. Like I don't mind paying, but it's just like a gesture of like thanks.
That's
For
a very specific thing. That's interesting, I guess. Yeah.
no, but that's happened to me. We're like,
that's manners.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
that's
like
Again, I guess to be fair, like this question is not a universal truth. Like this is what you like, what Tony
Yeah,
likes,
yeah.
what Uncle likes.
what about you, Tom?
Yeah.
The eligible bachelor.
Okay.
Single and ready to move
We're
on.
literally all single.
We're pitching you though.
I think
some more than.
I think for me it's like as charisma. I like a little bit of confidence.
Right.
Some swagger.
Confidence is great.
I
Confidence is great.
I like a bit of back and forth.
Mm.
Like not necessarily like arguing with each other, but like a healthy debate. If I feel like we can like toss
Like an
ideas back and
intellectually
forth.
stimulating conversation.
Yeah.
It's
I
the,
think that
it's called the
that's
roast to
pretty good.
flirt ratio.
Yeah, the
The roast to flirt ratio.
Yeah,
Is
roast
that
to
a
flirt
thing?
ratio is
Explain this
important.
to me.
So the roast to flirt ratio, I've talked to like girlfriends about this, and they're just like, the roast to flirt ratio is basically the ratio of which you might say something flirty or loving and caring versus sometimes when you roast somebody, right? You don't want, like, people who believe in the roast to flirt ratio and want the perfect roast to flirt ratio want somebody who can like rib them, tease them, and roast them up to a certain extent, but not too far, right?
Yeah.
And that roast to flirt ratio is different for different types of people. So like, there's also there's other ratios. I think as second generation kids growing up here, there's the like, I guess, how, I guess,
I
like,
think I know where this is going.
yeah, like how westernized versus like, daisy, I guess, for our communities are you? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Where it's like, and it's like, it's more for a common sense of maybe values or cultural experiences you can latch onto, right? So that is an interesting thing that I've thought about. So those are some ratios that I've thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is like such a, like, being able to get roasted or being able to, like, having someone that can roast you. I think those are
It's
important signs of things like humility, confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a fine line, like Anka said. Like people
Yeah,
have different levels of that ratio.
You can't be mean.
Like, I don't want you to be mean and vindictive, where it's like, oh, you just tapped into like a childhood trauma.
Trauma.
I have to go to
Yeah,
therapy and talk about this after.
Yeah,
No, like, not that.
That's a bit much. Yeah. Oh,
how often does this
okay.
happen?
Wait. I think there's a story we need to tell.
Oh,
And I learned this is another lesson that I learned.
Wait, is it a story about you, me? Like, I'm
It's
scared.
a story about me and Tony.
Oh, okay.
I learned, and I advise everyone here, double dates, really a hit or miss kind of thing. Really a hit or miss. And if there's one advice I can give, don't bring your comedian of a friend on a double date.
Tom, you're still jaded, eh?
I'm very jaded. It's okay. Life goes on. But I decided to go on a double date with Tony, of all people. And, I reached out to him. I was like, as a good friend, I was like, Tony, I'm going out on a date with this girl. I think she'll be really comfortable. If it's a double date, can you come? And Tony was, he was a good lad. He said, okay, I'll come with you,
Of course he
Tom,
was.
and all of that. So we go on this date. And we go to a board game cafe. So pretty chill, nice place for 4 people to talk and all of that. And Tony was single at the time, and I was single too, obviously. But it turns out that on this date, Tony decided again to bring up his stand-up comedian act. And he just kept making...
It's testing material.
Yeah, it was testing material that day. And he kept making everyone laugh to the point where he was the focus of attention. And I'm pretty certain my date was not really did not really fancy me at the end of that anymore, and may have preferred Tony at the end.
What she missed out.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I'll tell you what, Tom. If we ever do that again, I'll throw it. I'll say something really weird, and then you'll be the center of attention.
but you can't be too weird though, because then she'll be like, "What the heck? This guy has weird friends."
Yeah,
exactly. It's a fair balance. So in general, I just avoid double dates now. But if you are gonna do it, tell your friend not to.
Wait, because of that experience?
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't realize you took it that hard.
Yeah. You're scarred. You're scarred.
No, but okay. In all honesty, if you do go on a double date, just set some ground rules before you go.
That's not a bad thing.
That's a
to
good
do.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should set some ground rules in general. Yeah.
I just remember the story. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I feel like double dates. That was unusual because I feel like double dates are usually when you're already in a relationship with like people and you're just trying to hang out together.
Maybe that is the lesson. Your first date should not be a double date.
Wait, your first date was a double?
Yeah, it was the first one.
No.
Yeah.
That's never a good sign.
Yeah, I think that
So
it was
I think
fair
it was
context, though.
given the context, I was like, we didn't have any mutual friends.
Yeah.
So she felt more comfortable bringing a mutual friend to the date. So I
Okay.
decided, okay, I'll bring my other mutual friend too, so that the other person has company, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of how it
Man,
came.
so I have an experience where I went on a double date with, and my roommate at the time also went on a double date with his girl, right? They had been dating for longer than this girl and I had been dating. We had just started dating, right? And so we were like in honeymoon zone, like just, lovey-dovey, and they were kind of a settled couple. And apparently, like after that double date, my roommate's girl was just like, how come like why are they so lovey dovey and we're not? And then that led to like an argument where they're just like they realized that they weren't fit for each other.
What? Yeah. Sorry, wait, what? This story escalated. Your double date led to the other couple breaking up?
I mean,
that's actually a really funny.
But it was like nothing bad that we did. It was just that we were just like really into each other.
What was that couple thing? Like they go on a double date and they're like,
No,
is that what happiness is? Like, this is like so what compatibility looks
no,
like.
it wasn't. And I gotta clarify with my buddy
my
after this.
gosh.
You know who it is.
Oh yeah.
Like my old roommate. You know who this is. But what was I gonna say? But, like I don't know if that's what ultimately led to it, but it was a domino.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it started the
It
domino.
lit a fire that was.
It lit a fire.
That's a fire.
That's accurate. I don't know if that's what led to, they ended up breaking up shortly after. Yeah, so where do we go from those?
Yeah, so is there a thing or a characteristic, an experience you can have on a date where, you know, it's not a deal maker, but it's like, oh wow, that's what I'm looking for.
It's like a deal sealer.
I'll give you this.
Mm.
And this is oddly specific. Some girls are gonna be like, ugh, but some girls are gonna be like, oh my god, that's cute. I love it when someone's eyes light up when they talk about something that they're really into, right? Like it's oddly specific, but I have specific examples of, you know, people who have just their eyes light up and they get really passionate talking about something that they're really into, and I love that, and that makes me resonate with them because it's like a shred of authenticity. It's like almost like any kind of professional facade that you might be putting on for the world is taken off, and you get to see who they are like as themselves, and I love that. That's something that really I vibe with. If that kind of moment happens, that's like a deal maker for me.
Yeah, unless their eyes light up talking about the wrong thing.
Good. Yeah, yes, 100%.
I think for me, it's back to the rose to flirt ratio because it's similar. If you guys have the same ratio and it shows on the first date, you lose all those barriers of like all this like, I guess the front that you've all put on the first date, it just all drops.
Yeah.
And you become so real with each other.
Yeah.
So once you get that ratio right, it's golden.
Yeah. I'm not a big ratio guy, you know. I like, you
just
know,
pure roast. No fun. Just tear me apart.
Yeah. Take me down a peg or two.
I don't know. I think, you know, I don't know if I'm, yeah, I'm just trying to think of something that'll just like definitely impress me. And I think it's very contextual, you know?
Yeah, I guess the other thing for me is I've gone on dates where like, you know, initially it was only a coffee that was planned, but we were enjoying each other's company, that we went on a walk and then we went somewhere else and then we did something else. And then even sometimes, you know, if it's like a really good date, like I'm a bit of a dancer and we can go
a bit. He's a
and
master dancer.
And then we go dancing together as well. Like I feel like so I guess that's a very personal thing for me, but I guess the idea is you had a plan for the date, but you just kind of let the date go on its own, and it just developed into something really, really good.
Okay, so
a night that you didn't even imagine.
Let me see. I've had a date like that. It was wonderful. It was brilliant. But I was listening to a podcast on this. Shout out Girls Gotta Eat podcast, by the way. It's a dating podcast I listen to. But there's a podcast on this, and you know, this dating expert was talking about how that actually can sometimes be detrimental. And the reason why, her rationale was like, there is no mystery left. Like if you're on a date with somebody for an hour and a half and it's going really well, and then you end it, there's a sense of intrigue. Like, oh, I want more of this, right? But if you've done like a 5-6 hour date, you've had the relationship in a weekend.
Well, that
can be good and bad.
That can be good, and what I'm saying is this can be good and bad. Like I've had a great date like that, but honestly, that like date didn't turn into a second. It didn't work out.
I disagree because mine was fine. Like I still felt there was like a lot of mystery because I don't think I can learn about a whole person's life in 5 hours.
Yeah. I just think like it could be good, it could be not good, but you know, like you kind of have to like play it by ear.
Fair enough.
Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a. I don't care if someone's mysterious. Like
He just
personally,
wants to be roasted.
I'm not a big intrigue kind of guy. I like.
You've done the research already.
Yeah, I mean, the entire point is to get to know the person better. Like that's my only goal.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like if someone, what would be like an example of intrigue? Like if someone, like
Well, you know the story, like the whole like
Is the idea to like end the date on a high?
Yeah.
Because you're afraid that it might dip if you stay longer on the date.
the idea is to end the date on a high and book the time for the next one.
Okay.
Ideally.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, so in the context of Tom, going on this walk, maybe taking this person to dancing, what would that look like? Is it him, at the coffee being like,
No, because again, if I followed that advice, I would have ended it at the coffee because the coffee was
Right.
so good.
I think look, guys. I think
then how would you generate it?
I think there's
would you be like, hey, maybe I'll show you my two-step later?
Tony-
How would you?
Tony, he didn't do stuff. Come on,
Yeah,
salsa,
that's my
bachata.
two-step.
Salsa, bachata, like he knows his stuff, and other things that I'm not going to talk about in this pod.
I think the two steps are a respectable form of dance.
Because it's NSFW. Anyways, I don't think we can prescribe this as an equation. I think it's you go.
That's
with the
true.
flow.
That's true.
You go, and dating is not an equation, right? Dating is very much
Deeply personal too.
deeply personal. It's you go into that with a specific set of ideas, and that might change with the date, and that's okay, right?
So I think there's only one thing left to do, guys. So my numbers.
Yes.
Okay, that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for listening. As always, if you like what you heard, share this podcast with your friends. Like us and follow us on social media at The Cusp Pod. Leave us a review on your podcast listening platform or give us a good rating. And yeah, just reach out to us if you have any feedback about the podcast or if you're enjoying it, if you're not enjoying it, if you have some critical feedback, whatever it is. And we hope you enjoyed today's conversation about dating. We had a lot of fun recording it. We had a lot of fun. Tony and I had a lot of fun revving Tom. I hope Tom doesn't mind too much. I think he was pretty good natured about it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll have content for you soon. In the meantime, everyone, take care, stay safe, and have a great day. Bye-bye.